Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Our next topic is degradation of cholesterol. Previously, we have discussed the biosynthesis of cholesterol, but today we will discuss the degradation of cholesterol or breakdown of cholesterol molecules. The key concepts behind it are how cholesterol is converted to the bile acids, how cholesterol involved in the synthesis of steroid hormones and vitamin D, and complete cholesterol degradation pathway, and the difference between hypercholesterolemia and hypocholesterolemia, and what is cholelithiasis. Here is the structure or the cholesterol ring, and the steroid nucleus or the ring structure of cholesterol. It can't be metabolized in human, and therefore the cholesterol about 50% is get converted to the bile acid, and somehow it's some amount is secreted in feces as well, and this cholesterol serves as precursor or the starting material for the synthesis of steroid hormones, vitamin D, and the coprostanol, which is a 27 carbon containing stenol formed from the biohydrogenation of cholesterol in the gut of the most of higher animals and birds, and the cholestanol, and the later two are also the fecal sterols beside the cholesterol. Here is how the cholesterol is converted to the bile acid, and it's not retained in the body as such, like it's not get stored in the body, and can't be metabolized as such. Therefore it must be converted to the bile acids, and therefore for the synthesis of many steroid hormones and vitamin D, which is synthesized in the presence of sunlight in the body. Number first is synthesis of bile acids. Then what is the bile? The first question is what is the bile? How bile is synthesized? Where what's the location? Where is synthesis of bile? Then in human, bile is produced continuously in liver. Therefore, it's also called the liver bile, and this bile is stored and concentrated in gallbladder, and whenever the food is taken inside, this stored bile is continuously discharged in the duodenum of part which is the part of small intestine, which is used, this bile acid put many secretions which is necessary for the digestion of the food. Therefore, the bile acid possesses 24 carbon atoms instead of 27 carbon atoms, which is the structure of the cholesterol, and two or the three hydroxyl groups are also present in the steroid nucleus, and a side chain which ends in the carboxylic group. Therefore, the structure of the bile acid is quite different from that of cholesterol. And the bile acids are amphipathic in nature, just like cholesterol, which means that the whole compound bears some functionalities which are polar in nature, while the other one are non-polar in nature. Therefore, they possesses the properties or the characteristics of both the polar and the non-polar group. Therefore, they are grouped as amphipathic. And these bile acids, they also serves as emulsifying agent and are used in the small intestine, and they actively participate in the digestion and absorption of lipids, particularly lipids, fatty acids, which can't be metabolized as such in small intestine, but due to the participation and the role of bile acids, which are um, which are secreted from or the put from the you can say the gallbladder into the duodenum part of small intestine. And the synthesis of primary bile acids, it takes place in the liver, and in liver during the synthesis it involves a series of chemical reactions, therefore by which the bile acids are produced in the liver. And these steps are catalyzed by the 7 alpha hydroxylase, and it is inhibited by the bile acids, and therefore it's the rate limiting reaction as well. In later slides we will also discuss the role of 7 alpha hydroxylase, how this enzyme is involved, and how the some malfunctioning of this enzyme controls the overall synthesis of bile acids. And the cholic acid and the chenodeoxycholic acid, these these two acids are known as the primary bile acids. And the former one, which is the cholic acid, it is found in largest amount in the bile, and it means that the simple bile acids can be present, primary bile acids like cholic acid and the chenodeoxycholic acids are also present, and some conjugated bile functionality is also present. And on conjugation with the glycine, which is the amino acid, and the taurine. And what's the taurine? Here's the structure of taurine. It's an amino sulfonic acid. This is the amino group. It's the sulfonic acid group, and completely with the two intervening methylene groups, they constitute the structure of taurine. It's an amino sulfonic acid that occurs naturally in our body, and particularly this taurine is concentrated in our brain, eyes, heart, and muscles as well. And along with the cholic and the chenodeoxycholic acids, on conjugation with glycine and taurine, conjugated, you can say the bile acids. Therefore, these two bile acids, which get conjugated with the glycine and the taurine, they constitute another important class or the types of the bile acids, which are called the conjugated cholic acid. And among the conjugated bile acids, glycocholic acid, taurocholic acid are formed, which are more efficient in their function as the surfactants. Therefore, these conjugated bile acids have also a surfactant-like properties, just like surfactants or the surfs or the soaps, which take away the grease and therefore make the cleaning action. And therefore, here is the cleaning or the solubilizing action of the bile acids. And in the bile, the conjugated bile acids exist as sodium or potassium salts, which are also known as bile salts. It means that the chemistry of the bile is not the simple one. It consists of simple bile acids, conjugated bile acids, and along with these, it consists of bile salts as well. Due to the presence of sodium and potassium in the cell, these conjugated bile acids also get converted into the bile salts as well. Here is the mechanism how the cholesterol is converted into the cholic acid and the chenodeoxycholic acid. While starting with cholesterol, the role of 7 alpha hydroxylase enzyme is important. This 7 alpha hydroxylase converts cholesterol into the 7 hydroxy cholesterol. It means that at the 7th position of the cholesterol, hydroxy group is also get involved. And this occurs due to the presence of oxygen, and along with the oxygen there are reductive equivalents also participate due to the presence of NADPH and H, and it gets oxidized into NADP. 7 hydroxy cholesterol then formed. Uh, it can attain this pathway after several steps reaction to convert it into cholic acid, and another pathway it get converted into the deoxycholic acid. And cholic acid, due to reaction with the or attachment with the glycine or the taurine, get converted into glycocholic acid or the taurocholic acid, depending on which, like glycine or the taurine, which have the aminosulfonic acid group, who have conjugated with the cholic acid. Then after the intestinal bacterial action, this glycocholic acid gives the deoxycholic acid, whereas this chenodeoxycholic acid, after conjugation with the taurine or the glycine gives the tauro or the glycochenodeoxycholic acid, and the intestinal bacteria similarly change them into lithocholic acid. In this way, how the cholesterol is degraded and converted into other important compounds, and among them is the large production of the bile acids, bile salts in the you can say liver. For understanding, I have given you the structure and give the comparison for the cholesterol. 7 hydroxy cholesterol. This is the structure of the cholesterol. In its structure, it has the 3 hydroxy group, 1, 2, 3. But at the 7th position, there is another hydroxy group after the uh, action of, like you can get understanding from here, like 7 alpha hydroxylase enzyme, it converts cholesterol into 7 hydroxy cholesterol. In this way, there is attachment or the hydroxylation of the 7th carbon as well to give the 7 hydroxy cholesterol. Then this 7 hydroxy cholesterol, after the series of the reaction, gives the chenodeoxycholic acid, and in cholesterol and the 7 hydroxycholesterol, you can see the simple branch at one side of cholesterol. This straight chain branch of the hydrocarbons makes this part of the cholesterol like a non-polar one. But in the chenodeoxycholic acid, uh, there is and if we will do comparison between cholesterol, 7-hydroxycholesterol, and its bile derivatives like chenodeoxycholic acid and the cholic acid. Then when we will reach at the point that the terminal or the end hydrocarbon chain here is replaced by the carboxylic acid group. Thus, in chenodeoxycholic acid and the cholic acid both have the terminal carboxylic acid groups. And in the chenodeoxycholic acid and the cholic acid, there are more hydroxyl groups in comparison to the cholesterol. Like it has two hydroxyl group and it has three hydroxyl groups along with the carboxylic acid groups as well. And they share the same three hydroxy groups just like that of the cholesterol. And in the intestine, a portion of primary bile acid undergo deconjugation and dehydroxylation to form secondary bile acids like deoxycholic acid and lithocholic acid. And in it intestine, therefore all the primary bile acids, they are not the retained, but some of their percentage or the portion, it undergoes the deconjugation reaction, and there is removal of the hydroxyl groups as well to form the bile acids which have the different structures. And they are as they are derived from the primary bile acids, therefore they are called the secondary bile acid. And here is the structure of the deoxycholic acid and the lithocholic acid. It don't have any hydroxyl group, where but it don't have like the 7 hydroxyl group as well. It has also undergone the removal of but this hydroxyl group is present at the different position. And these reactions are definitely catalyzed by the presence of the bacteria in the intestine, and enzymes, they are secreted by the bacteria, and therefore these reactions are these, you can say, the deconjugation and the dehydroxylation reactions are catalyzed by the enzymes which are taken part, which are poured or secreted from the bacteria. Another important mechanism is the enterohepatic circulation. Enterohepatic circulations mean there is circulation of biliary acids, which has the very complex chemistry, and bilirubin, which its presence is definitely for the you can say the for investigation of you can say for investigation of certain type of jaundice. The bilirubin give an important test, and some other drugs and other substances from liver to the bile, and from liver to the gallbladder and laterally into the small intestine. And laterally from the intestine, there is absorption by the enterocytes, and these enterocytes are the intestinal lining cell inner cells, and they are transported back to the liver. Here is the complete cycle that definitely the bile acids or the biliary acids or the bile, you can say primary, secondary, conjugated, they all are produced in the liver, and after that they are stored in the gallbladder, and literally from the gallbladder they are periodically poured into the intestine, because intestine they have an important role in the you can say the emulsification or the as surfactant action for the you can say digestion of the fatty acids. Therefore the intestine has the very delicate inner lining, and this intestinal lining definitely absorbs some part of these biliary acids. Therefore from the biliary you can say the enterocytes or the intestinal lining cells, these bile compounds are reabsorbed into the you can say main blood circulation through the portal vein. Therefore, after the portal vein, it poured back or give back it to the liver. Therefore, this cyclic process goes on, and it's responsible for the production of bile acid in the liver and subsequently pouring into the intestine, and then the reabsorption by the intestinal enterocyte cells and give back it to the liver through the portal vein. Therefore, this whole cycle is called the enterohepatic circulation. Entero derived from the enterocytes and hepatic derived from the liver. It means between the liver and the intestine, there is, you can say, circulation of these bile acids. And along with the bile acids, there is bilirubin and some drugs and other substances. They also get absorbed into the intestine and go back to the liver from the portal vein, and from the intestine definitely through the process of digestion they they are wasted or the put outside of the body through the feces. Therefore the fecal output is also there along with the reabsorption through the enterocytes. Here is some description about the enterohepatic circulation, that conjugated bile acids, bile salts, synthesized in liver, and they accumulated in the gallbladder. And from there, they are secreted into small intestine. And in small intestine, they serve the process of emulsification, which is responsible for the digestion and absorption of the fats and some fat soluble vitamins as well. And the large portion of these bile salts, which consist of primary and secondary, they are reabsorbed and therefore returned to the liver through the portal vein. And therefore the bile salts are recycled and reused several times in a day. And this complete cycle or the circulation is called enterohepatic circulation. And it has been investigated that about 15 to 30 grams of bile salts are secreted into intestine each day, and much large portion of them is reabsorbed. However, a small portion, which is about zero point 0.5 gram per day, is lost in the form of feces. An equal amount, like zero point 0.5 gram per day, is synthesized in the liver to replace the bile salts which are lost in the feces. And the fecal excretion of bile salts is the only route by which the cholesterol molecules are removed from the body. Otherwise, the cholesterol molecule is get converted into the bile salts. They get converted into many steroid hormones, and even they are changed into the vitamin D as well. Then here is the structure of the colic acid. This the terminal carboxylic group, and this carboxylic acid site is in fact the conjugation site. And presence of 3 hydroxyl group like the 3, 7 and this hydroxyl group, third one, they are involved in the multiple, you can say, the for the formation of different acids. Like this hydroxyl group is optionally added in the liver, and it determines the presence of colic acid Ca versus the CHDXCA, which stands for the deoxycholic uh, acid, quinodeoxycholic acid CH, quinodeoxycholic acid. And this hydroxyl group is removed by the gut bacteria, and Ca is then converted into DXCA, which is the deoxycholic acid. And if it's the CHDXG means uh, quinodeoxycholic acid, then its conversion into the lithocholic, LICA means lithocholic acid. Then it's the important phenomena which is called the cholelithiasis. And what's this? It's in fact the cholesterol gall stone formation. And definitely this is the pancreas, this is the small intestine part, and here is the gallbladder, and it's the internal section of the gallbladder showing some accumulation. And what's this accumulated part? It's definitely the cholesterol molecules. And what's the cholelithiasis? It's the bile salt and the phospholipids. They are in fact responsible for keeping the cholesterol in bile in soluble state. Therefore, when there is deficiency of phospholipids and the bile salts, there is, you can say, the cholesterol molecules get precipitated into the gallbladder. Therefore, bile salts and the phospholipids, their optimal concentration is very important in order to keep the cholesterol in the soluble state. It means if the cholesterol is in soluble state in the bile, it will not be crystallized out, that it will embed it in the gallbladder in such a way. And if particularly if liver functioning is not going well, then the bile salt concentration is less. Therefore, these bile salts are unable to solubilize the cholesterol. Therefore, the cholesterol molecules are quickly precipitated out into gallbladder like this, and they definitely results in the formation of cholesterol stones. This formation of cholesterol stones, small stones, into gallbladder is called the cholelithiasis. And this cholelithiasis is the formation of cholesterol gallstone, and therefore it's called the cholesterol gallstone disease, which is due to the crystallization of cholesterol from the bile, and it's get, you can say, precipitated out into the gallstone, gall bladder. And why cholelithiasis occurs? It may be due to the defective absorption of the bile salts from the intestine. It means that bile salts are not effectively absorbed by the enterocytes to get back into the liver. And there may be impairment or dysfunctioning of the liver or the obstruction of the biliary tract. In the previous slide, you can see that there is the right and left hepatic duct lever, and this is the cystic duct, this is the bile duct. Therefore, these all ducts are also very important. They must be open in order to pass the, uh, you can say, the bile salts. And the patients of the cholelithiasis respond to the administration of bile acids, quinodeoxycholic acid, which is commonly known as the quinodiol or the quinodiol. And it means that this patient having the, you can say, cholesterol gallstone, they are administrative with the bile acids, deoxycholic acids. And it is believed that the slow but the gradual, there is dissolution of the cholesterol stones or the gallstones occurs due to the administration or the, you can say, uh, orally uh, taking these drugs having the quinodeoxycholic acids, and they are responsible for the gradual elimination of the gallstone from the gallbladder. And for severe cases of cholelithiasis, in certain cases, there is surgical removal of the gallbladder as well, because unless or until there is removal of the gallbladder, there is no other remedy to get rid from these cholelithiasis or the gallstone disease or gall, you can say, the cholesterol crystals which are get absorbed into the gallbladder. Next is the synthesis of steroid hormones from the cholesterol. How the steroid hormones are synthesized from the cholesterol. Then the cholesterol is the precursor for the synthesis of all five important classes of steroid hormones. And these steroid hormones are glucocorticoids. Uh, Among them are cortisols, and they it work with the certain part of your brain to control your mood, motivation, and fear. This cortisol hormone, and this is the mineralocorticoid, and for example aldosterone, and its main role is to regulate the salt and water level in the body. And third one is the progestin, for example progesterone, which is the female hormone, and the androgens like testosterone, the hormone which is present in male, and the estrogen, which is also a female hormone, estradiol. And a brief outline for the steroid hormone synthesis is given over here, that from the 27 carbon containing cholesterol, pregnenolone, which is the 21 carbon containing, then the progesterone, 21 carbon containing, and from where the cortisol, aldosterone, and the estradiol, which are the 21 each and 18 carbon containing hormones, are synthesized while starting from the cholesterol. And how the synthesis of vitamin D takes place. 7-dehydrocholesterol, its structure is given here. It's an important intermediate in the synthesis of cholesterol. It's converted into the calciferol, which is called the vitamin D3. And whole name is cholecalciferol. By the ultraviolet rays, which when uh, fall on the skin. Therefore, the intermediate of the cholesterol, which is the 7-dehydrocholesterol, it is converted into the cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D3, under the action of ultraviolet rays in the cell. And brief summary of the prominent sources, major pathways for the utilization of cholesterol, and the liver, uh, with the liver as the central metabolic organ is depicted as here in the later slides as well, that there is change over here, that how this ring is get changed or open up in such a way that there is unsaturation or the buildup of conjugation. Therefore, somehow structure of the dehydrocholesterol is changed, and it's converted into the vitamin D3, which is very important for our bone strength as well. This picture show how the major sources of liver cholesterol is conjugated or is dependent with the major routes of cholesterol utilization. Liver, in liver, which is the cholesterol pole, 1000 milligram is present, and that from diet you take cholesterol per day is 500 milligram. And cholesterol synthesis, which occurs in liver, it's also 500 milligram per day. And it's the cholesterol which is from the extrahepatic tissues. Variably, it also put cholesterol into the liver, and to make the liver in liver the cholesterol pool. And here are the major routes which are responsible for the cholesterol utilization. For example, for the lipoproteins, cholesterol which is lost in the bile, and the formation of bile acids and bile salts, which is about 250 milligram per day. Cholesterol is get changed into the bile acids. Then is the transport of cholesterol. Cholesterol is present in the plasma lipoproteins in two forms. It means that in plasma, the major concentration of cholesterol is present, and about 70 to 75% of this amount it is in the esterified form with the long chain fatty acids, because cholesterol have hydroxyl group, and fatty acids have uh, carboxylic acid group. Therefore, these two uh, react together to give the esterified form of cholesterol. And rest of which is the 25 to 30%, it's present as the free cholesterol. And this form of the cholesterol readily exchange between the different lipoproteins, and also with the cell membrane, because it also uh, make and make the important, you can say, the part for the formation of the cell membranes as well. And role of LCA is what's LCAT is lecithin cholesterol acyl transferase. High density lipoproteins and this LCAT enzyme are responsible for the transport and the elimination of the cholesterol from the body, because the cholesterol shouldn't be stored in a large amount in the body. But high density lipoproteins, yes, they can be stored to some amount, and low density lipoproteins, they are definitely very dangerous because they form the plaque in the small capillaries and responsible for the buildup of large pressure in the artery. Therefore, high-density lipoproteins and LCAT are responsible for the transport and the elimination of the cholesterol from the body. It means their level in the uh, bloodstream is very important in order to keep the concentration of cholesterol at the optimal level. And LCAT is the plasma enzyme which is synthesized by the liver, and it catalyzes the transfer of the fatty acids from the second position of the phosphatidylcholine lecithin to the hydroxyl group of the cholesterol. And HDL cholesterol is the real substrate for LCAT. It means that LCAT enzyme is definitely binds the HDL cholesterol with it, and this reaction is freely reversible as well. It means that cholesterol can easily liberate it or make free from this LCAT as well. Cholesterol in the form of cholesterol ester forms an integral part of HDL. And in this manner, cholesterol from the peripheral tissues is trapped in HDL by reaction which is catalyzed by LCAT, and it's then transported to the liver for its degradation and excretion from the body. It means that two monitoring forces are there, HDL and LCAT. Both HDL and LCAT are responsible for the degradation, for the transport, and for keeping the concentration of the cholesterol at certain, you can say, optimal level or the bearable level in the body. And this mechanism is known as the reverse cholesterol transport. And here it's shown that the phosphatidylcholine and lysophosphatidylcholine im- uh, cholesterol presence and cholesterol ester. It means that lecithin cholesterol acyl transferase gets, which is called as LCAT, uh, is responsible for this monitoring the reaction, and therefore the cholesterol from the peripheral tissues is trapped in HDL, and this reaction is catalyzed by the lecithin cholesterol acyl transferase. Plasma cholesterol and certain biochemical, biomedical importance about its level. In healthy individual, the total plasma cholesterol is in the range of 150 milligram per deciliter of blood to the 200 milligram. It means that in healthy individual, only 150 to 200 milligram is bearable level, and in newborn, this amount is very less, and it's only 100 milligram per deciliter. But it rises within a 1 year as the baby age is 1 year. It reaches 150 milligram per deciliter of blood, and women have relatively lower plasma cholesterol and which is attributed due to its conversion of this cholesterol into the hormone estrogens. And cholesterol level increases definitely with increasing the age, and in women this level definitely rises. And plasma cholesterol is also associated with the different lipoprotein fractions like low density lipoprotein, very low density, and high density lipoprotein. Their level is also very important. And the total cholesterol can be estimated by many methods, but well known is Lipperman-Borchert reaction. And second one is Card-Truchter method, and more recently is cholesterol oxidase method. And AHDL high density lipoproteins along with cholesterol can be administered after precipitating out LDL and VLDL uh, by the polyethylene glycol PEG from the blood. And very low density lipoproteins cholesterol is equivalent to 1/5 of the plasma TG. It means that if what's the concentration of triacylglycerol, it's 1/5 of that in the if the test is going to be in the fasting state. And in adult the normal LDL cholesterol level is 80 to 150 milligram, while HDL cholesterol level is around the 30 to 60 milligram. And the elevation in plasma HDL cholesterol is beneficial to the body since protect the body from the atherosclerosis and the coronary artery disease, because these two are, if HDL level is high, then LDL level is definitely low. And LDL is get embedded or precipitated. You can say they are concentrated along the linings of the arteries. On the other hand, increase in LDL cholesterol is definitely harmful to the body because it leads to the various complications like blood pressure, elevation of blood pressure, and in certain cases, there's blockage along with a high blood pressure. There is brain hemorrhage as well. And here's the terminology: hypercholesterolemia. Hyper mean rise, hypo mean less, and increase in plasma cholesterol because the normal level was 150 to 200 milligram per deciliter of blood. Therefore, if the cholesterol level rises from 200 milligram, then this concentration is definitely deemed as hyper uh, cholesterolemia, and it's observed. It resulted in many disorders. Number first is diabetes mellitus. Like in diabetes mellitus, due to the increased cholesterol synthesis in the body, since availability of acetyl CoA is raised, and hypothyroidism, this is believed to be due to the increase in HDL level receptors or the hepatocytes. And the second one is the obstructive jaundice. It's due to the obstruction in the excretion of the cholesterol through the bile. And third one is the nephrotic syndrome. It's due to the increase in plasma globulin concentration, which is characteristic feature of the nephrotic syndrome. Innate cholesterol elevation is due to the increase in plasma lipoproteins fractions in this disorder, nephro, nephrotic syndrome. Number next is comparison between the bad cholesterol and the good cholesterol. And cholesterol is the natural metabolite which perform a wide variety of reactions, like it's the part of cell membrane, therefore take part in its membrane structures. It's precursor for many steroids hormone and results in the formation of bile acids. Then the usage of the good fat and the bad cholesterol and the good cholesterol. What's that? It's definitely this terminology take part. It's definitely um, have in routine work, and these terminologies are used. The usage good and bad to cholesterol, although inappropriate, but they are still in use. The cholesterol in high concentration present in LDL is considered bad due to its involvement in erythrosclerosis, which is responsible for the buildup of plaque or buildup of low density lipoproteins lining inside of arteries or the you can say the bloodstream and related complications. Thus, LDL may be recorded as the lethally dangerous lipoproteins instead of low density lipoproteins. Another terminology is used which is called lethally dangerous lipoproteins. That the lipoprotein which is lethal, which is dangerous, which leads to the death. And the small dense LDL, ST-LDL. This terminology is considered to be most dangerous fraction of LDL associated with CHD. On the other hand, HDL cholesterol is good since its high concentration counteracts the atherogenesis. It means that atherosclerosis, it's against the atherosclerosis. And HDL may be considered as the highly desirable lipoproteins. Instead of high density lipoproteins, second terminology is highly desirable lipoproteins. They will not cause the complication in like the LDL. They will not be concentrated along the blood lining, along the arteries. Next one is the control of the hypercholesterolemia. How the hypercholesterolemia or the high concentration of cholesterol in the blood can be, you can say, controlled. Several measures are advocated to lower its level. Then the first is measure is the consumption of PUFA, which means the polyunsaturated fatty acids. The fatty acids which have more than one double bond in its structure. And then in the form of diet, polyunsaturated fatty acids are intake and they reduces the plasma cholesterol level. And this PUFA will help in the transport of the cholesterol by the LCAT mechanism, which is described earlier in the previous slides, and its secretion from the body later on. The oil with the rich polyunsaturated fatty acids, they content include the cottonseed oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn, fish oil, and ghee and coconut oil are the poor sources of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Therefore, they shouldn't be used. Only oil having the polyunsaturated fatty acids, they should be consumed. Next is the dietary cholesterol. Dietary cholesterol influence on plasma cholesterol is its influence on the plasma cholesterol is minimal. It's less. However, avoidance of cholesterol-rich food is advocated. It means that uh, high cholesterol rich food should be avoided, and dietary intake of less than 300 milligram day is advised. And certain drugs are also used to inhibit the intestinal cholesterol reabsorption. It means that the cholesterol which is in the intestine, it shouldn't be absorbed in the bloodstream in order to rise its level. Therefore, these drugs will not absorb the will help the absorption in such a way that the absorption of the cholesterol from the intestinal lining should be less one. They inhibit its absorption. And the plant sterol and certain plant sterol and their esters, they reduce the plasma cholesterol level. Definitely, they also inhibit the intestinal absorption, which is poured, yeah, which makes its entry from the dietary cholesterol. And number next is the dietary fibers food, the food which contains the fiber like many vegetables, which also decreases the cholesterol absorption from the intestine. If you will use more vegetables, more fruits which contains lot amount of the fiber, they definitely decrease the absorption of the cholesterol from the intestine. And number next is avoiding high carbohydrate diet, like the sucrose carbohydrate diet. They should be avoided to control the hyper cholesterolemia. And you should change your lifestyle in such a way that the cholesterol level should be built up less in arteries. Like elevation in plasma cholesterol, it's normally observed in people which are used to smoke. They have abdominal obesity, mean large amount of fats, globules are built up on their abdomen. And their lifestyle is not healthy in a sense that they don't use the exercise. They have a high stress or the tension, they have high blood pressure, and consumption of soft drinks very in their lifestyle. Therefore, these definitely these lifestyles have very negative impact on their health, and therefore adequate changes in lifestyle will bring about the lesser concentration of the cholesterol in the plasma. It means that the hypercholesterolemia should be checked, should be minimized in such a way. And second terminology is the hypocholesterolemia. Hypo mean less, less mean decrease. Decrease in plasma cholesterol is known as the hypocholesterolemia. And although it's very less common, but it's also observed. And the hypothyroidism, uh, these anemia like malabsorption syndrome, hemolytic jaundice, these are some disorders which are responsible for causing the hypocholesterolemia or the rise or the decrease in the plasma cholesterol level. But overall, these hypocholesterolemia, this state is found very less in the individual. But hypercholesterolemia or the high cholesterol plasma level is more common in normal individuals. It's all about the cholesterol and how the cholesterol is get converted into the bile acids. What are the important bile acids, and later on how the bile salts are formed, how secondary bile salts are formed, and how the cholesterol is get converted or changed into the vitamin D, and you can say many hormones are also formulated from the cholesterol. And for assignment, you have to draw the pathways by which the cholesterol is get converted into uh, corticoids, and detailed description for the obstructive jaundice. It's all about for today's lecture, and best wishes.